Although KTM is near bankrupt, it has managed to come out with some really cool new bikes like this all-new 2025 KTM 390 Enduro R Dual Sport. This got a peppy engine and a bunch of really cool features and a great price, but is it really better than the new Suzuki DRZ 4S Dual Sport? I'll break it down for you.
Let's go for a ride. Subscribe today.
Before I tell you about this awesome all-new 2025 KTM 390 Enduro R, I'm going to tell you why dual sport motorcycles are awesome and why you should get one. My love for dual sport motorcycles goes back to the Yamaha WR250R that I owned, and I tell you what I love about dual sports is you can go anywhere, ride off-road, ride up staircases, ride on the street, the highway, go anywhere, do anything you want. They're cheap to own and easy to work on and more fun to ride than street bikes. Somehow KTM has managed to come out with this cool new dual sport. This based off the 390 Duke. It's the all-new 2025 KTM 390 Enduro R, or the little brother to the 690 Enduro R. And this engine has super low maintenance because it's from the 390 Duke, so it has that liquid-cooled 4-stroke 399cc single-cylinder engine with a balancer shaft that's pumping out 44 horsepower to 8,500 RPM and 28.8 pounds-feet of torque at 7,000 RPM. So it has a peppy engine, not as powerful as a 690, but the 690 is overkill. Trust me, I have a 690 SMCR, man. Overkill. This bike has a 6-speed transmission with power assist slipper clutch. So that's awesome. It does have a ride-by-wire throttle, with 2 selectable ride modes, street and off-road. The street mode is set up for optimum use in the city and highway, and off-road is set up for more rear-wheel slip that makes it easier to lift the front wheel over obstacles and slide the rear wheel. This bike also has traction control with 3 settings, standard, off-road, and you can turn it off, which is awesome because you'll get more rider control when you turn it off. It also has a really pretty good suspension. It has a WP Apex 43mm open cartridge coil spring fork that's fully adjustable for compression and rebound dampening. And also it has a WP Apex shock that is tunable for compression and preload, but that requires a tool. As far as the frame, it has a 2-piece steel trellis frame design that's based on the 3rd generation Duke platform, but it does have some key differences compared to the Duke. It has a different steering head angle, different triple clamps with 25mm handlebar risers. It has different subframe mounts and a rigid profile for off-road use. The subframe is an off-road inspired bolt-on steel trellis design and die-cast swing arm developed specifically for this model. And as far as the ergonomics of this dual sport, it has pretty much the same triangle as the 690 Enduro R. It does have a seat height of 35 inches, which is actually lower than the DRZ 4S, which I'll get into shortly. It actually even has adjustable foot pegs with 2-position adjustment. As far as the brakes on this bike, it has front and rear bi-brake brakes. The parent company is Brembo, so I'm assuming these are as good as quality as the Brembo brakes. The front has a dual piston caliper with 285mm front disc, and the rear is a single piston caliper with a 240mm disc. Both have ABS. As far as the wheels on this dual sport, it has standard size 21-inch front and an 18-inch rear wheel. It comes standard with Metzler's Karoo 4 tires with a 90-90-21 up front and a 140-80-18 tire in the rear. All LED lighting that comes standard. It does have a pretty cool 4.2-inch full-color TFT display with Bluetooth connectivity, which is much better than my 690 SMCR's dashboard that looks archaic. And also this new bike has an illuminated switch gear with a 4-way joystick. And get this, it has a USB-C charging port that comes standard. And also this bike has a 2.4-gallon fuel tank, which actually is a little bit bigger than the DRZ 4S's fuel tank. I'll get into that in just a moment to show you how much of a better deal this bike is over the DRZ 4S. Before I get into that, I want to tell you the biggest con of this bike is that the weight, 351 pounds wet weight, which is actually 11 pounds heavier than the DRZ 4S Dual Sport. But the price is the biggest awesomeness to this bike. It's $5,499. So that's, now they haven't come out with a price with the DRZ 4S, but if you look at the 2024 model on the DRZ, it's $7,200. So it'll be that price or more. So you're figuring $1,700 more than this 390 Enduro R. And also this bike has, when you compare the two bikes, actually the 390 Enduro R actually has a little bit more horsepower. The 390 has 42 horsepower versus 38 horsepower on the DRZ, and 29 pounds-feet of torque versus 27 pounds-feet of torque on the DRZ. And the DRZ actually has a little bit smaller fuel tank at 2.3 gallons. And also, this 390 has a 6-speed transmission compared to the 5-speed transmission on the DRZ. But the only thing the DRZ has is better. It's got a little bit bigger brake disc for the front disc, 310 millimeters versus 285 millimeters. So overall, I have to say, comparing the DRZ 4S versus this 390 Enduro R, I have to say, on paper, the better deal is the 390 Enduro R, although I will say that with Japanese bikes, you're not going to worry about reliability, unlike with KTM. Although I haven't had really any problems with my KTM 690 SMCR Supermoto. But I will tell you, parts are harder to come by and they're more expensive than the Japanese bikes. So that's something to keep in mind. But I'm going to tell you this, guys. What I love about this 390 Enduro R, man, is that it's guaranteed it's probably going to be a peppy bike. It's going to be fun. You may be able to reduce that weight a bit by, obviously putting on an aftermarket fender eliminator kit, taking off some other parts or whatnot, and get the weight down a bit on this. I'm sure you could do it. And it's so overall, this weight is not too bad. This bike actually weighs about a pound heavier than my 690 SMCR that has double the power and torque almost, which is crazy. But it is what it is. But for $54.99, that is a hell of a price. You can't beat that. It's dirt cheap, man. Like I said, it's cheaper. It's probably going to be a couple grand cheaper than the DRZ 4S. I don't know. What do you guys think? Leave a comment below, man. And also the seat height, by the way, I forgot to mention. The seat height is on the 390, like I said, is 35 inches versus 36 inches on the DRZ 4S. So that's something to keep in mind. So a little bit taller seat height on the DRZ 4S. Now, as far as the ground clearance, I don't know. I don't have any numbers on that, so it may have a little bit less ground clearance, but that's probably going to be okay for you. So tell me, guys, would you get the new DRZ 4S or the new KTM 390 Enduro R? Leave a comment below. Or what other dual sport is better? Let's talk about it.
You make sure to hit thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, hit that little bell symbol so you get notified when my new videos release. But I release new videos every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So until next time, catch you guys later.